Hey everybody. Okay, so this weekend I shot for WLDF, the comp in Pretoria. People have been asking how I do low light stage dance photography. So I thought I would put a few of my stills together and then show you some cutaways of the dances and then explain the settings and stuff I did. Okay, so gear wise, we used the Canon 5D3. We used the 50mm 1.4 Canon lens, and then we used the 24 Sigma 1.4 for some of the wide shots with the group numbers. And then we didn't use any flash because it's very distracting to the audience, so you don't ever use flash unless it's a photo shoot, but this was a live show, so we didn't do that. We sat second row from the front, just to give space to the videographer behind us, but we were sat second row from front so we could use our 50 all the time. The prime lenses just focus a lot faster. We sat right in the middle. We didn't move too much because there's parents and stuff watching, so we didn't try to get in the way and stuff. And then I used the 50 for everything except the group numbers, so that people with 2 or more, I used the 24. Settings wise, we used 1600 ISO. We used I think it was 1250th of a second, and we used f2.2 if I'm correct, or 2.5, just so that we can compensate for light, because I mean it's very dimly, like it's lit interesting for people watching, but it's not good for the camera. So we have to either decide, do we want shallow depth, or do we want blurry images, or do we want less grain? So with the full frame we use quite high ISO, so 1600, which there's not a lot of noise until you hit about 4000 with a 5D. So don't worry, and noise is not that bad. People worry about noise too much, but if you had a problem, you can just noise reduction a bit. And then you got to decide, do you want noise or do you want a blurry image? And usually always the blurry image is the worst part. So we used 1/250th of a second or 1/600th of a second, up and down from there, and then that allowed us to freeze it at any point, because you could wait for them to pause and then take a slow shutter speed shot and be fine. But most of the time they're spinning and jumping and doing it really quickly, so you got to kind of like just be ready for that and then get everything with those settings. The other thing we did is we used focus tracking, so AI servo on Canon, and pretty much we used the 9-point selection, which I'll try to get an example of it. So 9 points, and it constantly tracks, so there'll never be the beep that you're used to hearing from when a focus is hit. So it will constantly track, which really kills your battery quick, but it helps because the dancers are moving. So instead of trying to focus and take the picture as they do the trick, is harder. So you just kind of like keep it on them and you follow them around the stage, half pressing the button in, and then when they jump, you push it in, and it's always in focus. I actually use a setting for even model stuff, because models tend to move forward and backwards even a little bit, and if you're shooting 1.8 or 1.4 wide open, it will miss. So you got to kind of like not worry about the person as much and just put an AI servo, and then it will track all the time. Okay, and then point selection, there's a 6 group on the Canon, and then there's a single point, which is harder to follow someone with, and then there's I think it's an area selection, so which will track multiple points. But I saw with the signage on stage, it sometimes tried to focus on the signage and I was missing. I was getting blurry shots because it was finding the sign more in focus than it was finding the person. So that's not good. So I left it on the 9 and the 4-point tracking, and then it went quite well. Yeah, and then the rest about it is, it's pretty much just practice, because you got to get used to how a dancer moves. You can kind of see which turns turn into a jump, and which the way they run is a prep for a leap, you know. So that's just practice, and I've shot a lot of dancers, photo shoot wise and live, that I kind of know when what's coming. And with the dance show, the only problem is there's no let's do that again. You don't know these people, you don't know their routines. They probably dance for a minute, 2 minutes max, and you got to get at least 5-10 good shots out of them. So it's all just some luck, some timing, some anticipating what's going to happen. So that's all practice. You can easily noise reduction shots. Like, I don't like to do it too much because it clumps up the image and it takes away detail. So I'd rather have noise, but a lot of clients don't like noise and they don't understand why there's noise on a professional shot. So sometimes just dropping the noise reduction and the luminance on Lightroom just helps a little bit. And then with dance stuff and like really busy event stuff, I always shoot JPEG, which is, people are gonna moan about it and say you mustn't do it, but what I've seen is JPEG handles color noise way better than RAWs do for some reason. Very high ISO shots on JPEG have less pink. It's like a pinkish and greenish color noise, and with JPEG I don't often get that. Don't turn noise reduction on. Do it in Lightroom after the fact, and shoot JPEG. Shoot very large JPEGs. Great images. They don't have a problem, and you can kind of like, I think we took 4,000 shots on a 32 gig card, so we only swapped cards once. Also, processing raw files and sorting and grading them takes forever, and most of the time the shots are boring and you missed it, and she's pulling a funny face and the jump wasn't perfect, and you know, so or they don't even want the shot, so you end up taking like 6 cards worth of photos and you're only using like half of it. So I would rather just shoot JPEG. It saves time. You can shoot more without it buffering. So that's my suggestion. Okay, so we'll do a live dance photo shoot as well, but because we were there, we thought we would put this together so that you guys can see how I did it. I got cutaways by Carla, and then I'm filming this a day after. But yeah, let us know if you like it, and we'll do some more of these. Anyway. We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust.